Welcome back, everyone, to the Dupe Dive. You know, we love to get into some really fascinating historical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But today we're going somewhere pretty personal, actually. You guys have shared tons of stuff about a book called Markings.
Right.
Now, at first glance, you might think, oh, it's just another diary. But this one, well, the author is anything but ordinary.
Yeah, you're not kidding. This is Dag Hammarskjöld we're talking about here.
Yeah.
He was the Secretary General of the UN,
Yeah.
a huge deal on the world stage.
Absolutely. For like almost a decade, from
Right.
1953 until he died in 1961. And he was so respected internationally, even got nominated for a Nobel Prize after his death.
Yeah, I mean, just wow, what a life, right? Like this guy, he was shaping global events.
And that's exactly what makes Markings so fascinating. Like, you sent this stuff over and it hints at this like whole other side to him, this
Yeah.
really profound inner world that this incredibly accomplished public figure, he just kept it mostly to himself. So today, we're going to dive deep into that inner world, try to understand, what were the core insights that he got from, as he called it, negotiations with myself and with God.
Right.
And our mission here is to see, can we pull out those bits of wisdom that still hold up today, even for us regular folks dealing with our own, everyday craziness.
I love it.
And it really is kind of wild, right? How this journal even came to light.
Oh, yeah, for sure. When Markings was first discovered and published, I mean, it just took everyone by surprise.
Yeah.
Here's this guy at the very top of like global power and influence.
Right.
And his journal, it's got nothing about his career, no insider stories about international diplomacy, zero, zip.
It's the opposite of what you'd expect.
Exactly. Instead, it's, as you said, this super raw and honest account of his spiritual struggles. Like he's wrestling with his ego, his impatience, even just like things he saw as personal shortcomings.
Yeah.
And through it all, this deep desire for a connection with God.
He even said he wanted this journal to be his only true profile, like focus completely on this internal dialogue he was having.
So powerful.
It makes you think, about this balancing act we all do. Like, how do we stay engaged with the world and all our responsibilities, but also nurture that inner spiritual side of ourselves?
Right.
Hammarskjöld, he obviously felt this need really strongly, especially with the kind of pressure he was under all the time. And I mean, there's this one line where he says he wants to live in a way so that my whole being may become an instrument for that which is greater than I.
Wow. Okay, yeah, let's unpack that a bit.
I mean, what do you think he's getting at with that? That aspiration, that wanting to be an instrument?
When I hear that, what strikes me is this really powerful combination of like surrender, but also purpose. It's not about him shrinking away or thinking he's not capable, but more about consciously aligning himself with something bigger than just his own ego.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to be the star of the show,
Yeah.
but almost a conduit, channeling something with way more significance.
I love that.
And you can really see how he drew on some pretty deep sources for inspiration on this path. The stuff you shared mentioned his serious study of medieval mystics.
Right, right. What was it about their writings, do you think, that really resonated with him?
Well, one thing that's super interesting is this emphasis they had on, get this, self-surrender as the actual path to self-realization.
Okay, that sounds a little, like, contradictory.
It does, right? Like, how do you give up yourself to find yourself? But the idea is that by letting go of the ego and all the stuff it clings to, you actually uncover a truer, deeper sense of who you really are.
Okay.
They were also huge on what they called singleness of mind, which means having a focused intention, like no distractions from within,
Right.
and a deep inwardness, turning inward. Like
Yeah.
those were seen as essential for building inner strength and aligning with a higher will or whatever you want to call it.
And they also had this, like, whole other idea about love, right?
Exactly. It wasn't just the romantic kind of love for them. It was, well, the material even calls it an overflowing of strength.
Interesting.
And they experienced that when they were living in a state of, get this, true self-oblivion.
Oblivion. Okay, hold on. So not like passing out or something.
No. Haha, not losing consciousness. More like transcending that ego-centered way of seeing things.
Got it.
So the idea is by moving beyond the limitations of your own ego, you can tap into this boundless source of strength and love, and that just naturally flows out into the world.
It's funny, even W.H. Auden, one of the guys who translated Markings, he noticed that Hammarskjöld wasn't super attached to traditional, organized religion.
Right.
But it's clear he had this really profound spiritual life.
Absolutely.
So what does that tell us about spirituality, like, in general? Does it have to be tied to a specific religion?
It's a great question, and the material actually mentions how Hammarskjöld really connected with this quote from Rumi, who said, "The lovers of God have no religion but God alone." So it's like he had this more direct personal relationship with the divine, something that goes beyond the rules and doctrines of any specific religion. His spirituality was rooted in his own experiences, his own connection.
But it's not like he just sprang up out of nowhere with all this.
Uh-huh.
You know, he had this privileged Lutheran upbringing. His dad was the prime minister,
Yeah.
his mom's family deep in the clergy, and he actively studied the Bible, Thomas à Kempis's The Imitation of Christ. Like, he had a background.
Right, so how do we square that,
Yeah.
his foundation, and then his later, more personal way, as he called it?
It's true. He gave his own path its own name, The Way.
Yeah, and his thoughts about it are really interesting. He wrote, "It is not we who seek the way, but the way which seeks us."
Whoa, that's like a total mind flip, isn't it?
It is.
It's like instead of us chasing after something, we need to be open to something that's already in motion.
Exactly. It means the spiritual journey isn't just about us striving and searching intellectually. It's also about cultivating this inner openness, being receptive to a call or some kind of unseen force that draws us forward.
Okay, yeah.
And then the key becomes, are we prepared internally? Are we ready to respond genuinely when those nudges or even demands come up?
It reminds me of this other line where he said, "What really matters is to be only under God. The slightest division of allegiance opens the door to daydreaming, petty conversations, petty malice, all the petty satellites of the death instinct."
Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty stark warning.
It is. Like, even just a little bit of distraction, losing our focus can lead us away from that core connection.
It shows just how important that complete commitment was for him and how crucial it is to stay vigilant, to keep our intention unified on this way.
It's like everything else is just a distraction.
Yeah. And then he goes on to say, the best and the most wonderful thing that can happen to you in this life is that you should be silent and let God work and speak.
Man, that is so profound. Just be quiet, listen.
Right. It's about moving beyond our need to constantly do, analyze, control,
Yeah.
and instead creating this space of inner quiet where real wisdom and guidance can come through.
It's like maybe the answers aren't out there, they're in here.
Maybe so.
One thing that's so striking throughout Markings, it's how incredibly honest he is about how tough this inner spiritual journey really is.
Oh, absolutely. He doesn't sugarcoat any of it.
No. And he's so clear that the biggest obstacles he faced, they weren't external. They were all internal, within himself.
Yeah,
It's such a high level of self-awareness, it makes his insights even more powerful.
for sure. Like, take this line, for example. Your cravings as a human animal do not become a prayer just because it is God whom you ask to attend to them.
Ooh, that's cutting right to the core.
Right. He's calling out the potential for us to fool ourselves, even in our spiritual lives.
Yeah.
For him, real prayer, it wasn't about making a wish list for God. It was about aligning your will with a higher purpose.
It's not about getting what you want.
No, not at all. And this next one is even more hardcore. You cannot play with the animal in you without becoming wholly animal. Play with falsehood without forfeiting your right to truth. Play with cruelty without losing your sensitivity of mind. He who wants to keep his garden tidy doesn't reserve a plot for weeds.
Wow, that's like zero tolerance.
Right. It's all connected. What you do in one area affects everything else.
Yeah.
Even little compromises, they can have a huge impact on our character, our ability to see truth.
You can't just compartmentalize your bad habits.
Nope. There's no escaping the consequences.
There's this one quote that really hit home for me. How dead can a man be behind a facade of great ability, loyalty, and ambition? Bless your uneasiness as a sign there is still life in you.
Yeah, that one's deep.
It's like, it's okay to feel dissatisfied even when you've achieved a lot,
I think he's saying that outward success doesn't automatically mean you're fulfilled inside.
Right.
And that if you feel restless, like something's missing, that's actually a good sign. It means your spirit is still alive. It's still searching for something more.
It's a good kind of discomfort.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it ties into this other major theme, the importance of not giving up, even when those internal struggles get really tough.
Yeah, he was big on perseverance.
Oh, yeah. He knew that this spiritual path, it's not a quick and easy climb. It's a long journey with setbacks and doubts along the way. What matters is that you keep moving forward no matter what.
He even wrote these little reminders to himself, almost like mantras, like, "Forward, thy orders were given in secret. May I always hear them and obey."
That's powerful.
And forward, whatever distance I have covered, it does not give me the right to halt.
Wow, it's like constant striving, never settling.
And then there's this one, forward. It is the attention given to the last steps before the summit which decides the value of all that has come before.
Man, that imagery is so vivid.
It's like, don't lose focus at the very end. That's what makes the whole journey worth it.
Don't give up when you're almost there. It's a reminder to stay committed, especially as we get closer to our goals, whether they're external achievements or internal ones.
And of course, we can't forget one of his most famous lines, the longest journey is the journey inward.
So simple, but so profound.
Right, it perfectly captures the essence of markings. Here's this guy navigating global politics, but he knows that the most important exploration is the one within ourselves.
Absolutely. And that's often the hardest journey of all.
It's really fascinating how he seemed to see his work, all that demanding world stuff, not as separate from his inner journey, but as a part of it.
Yeah, he was able to integrate his external duties with his spiritual aspirations.
Like his work was a form of service, guided by his higher purpose.
It's like he was living out his spirituality through his actions in the world.
He wrote, "Thy will be done." Admittedly, you have allowed self-interest to supply the energy for your little efforts to assist fate. Admittedly, to others, you have tried to paint these efforts in the most glowing colors no matter, provided only that you allow the final outcome to be decided entirely over your head in faith.
Such humility in that, acknowledging his own flaws while still striving for something bigger.
And then he goes on to say, "Thy will be done." To let the inner take precedence over the outer, the soul over the world, wherever this may lead you. And lest a worldly good should disguise itself as spiritual, to make yourself blind to the value the life of the Spirit can bestow upon life in this world.
Wow. It's like he's saying, don't let worldly success fool you into thinking you've made spiritual progress.
Right.
True fulfillment, it comes from within, not from external validation or achievements.
And we've talked about humility, but it's such a central theme for him.
It really is.
Yeah.
And he goes beyond the basic idea of just being humble.
Yeah, it's deeper than that.
He wrote, to be humble is not to make comparisons. Secure in its reality, the self is neither better nor worse, bigger nor smaller than anything else in the universe.
Yeah.
It is nothing.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, one with everything.
That's like next level humility.
Right. He's saying true humility is about transcending the ego's need to compare yourself to others, to rank yourself.
Well, and it's about recognizing that we're all connected, we're all part of something much larger.
Exactly. And he continues that thought. Praise and blame. The winds of success and adversity blow over such a life without leaving a trace or upsetting its balance. Towards this, so help me God.
It's about finding that inner peace that can't be shaken by the ups and downs of life.
Yeah. That unshakable core, that's the goal.
And this next quote, I don't know, it always makes me smile a little. What? He is now going to try to teach me. Why not? There is nobody from whom you cannot learn. Before God, who speaks through all human beings, you are always at the bottom class of nursery school.
He had a good sense of humor.
It's a great reminder that we can learn from anyone, no matter who they are.
Always be open to learning, always be a student.
And last but not least, we've got to talk about forgiveness.
Yes, definitely. It was so essential for his spiritual growth.
He saw it as this powerful act, not just for the person being forgiven, but also for the forgiver.
It's about releasing resentment, letting go of anger and pain.
And he describes it so beautifully. Forgiveness is the answer to a child's dream of a miracle, by which what is broken is made whole again, what is soiled is again made clean. The dream explains why we need to be forgiven and why we must forgive. In the presence of God, nothing stands between him and us we are forgiven, but we cannot feel his presence if anything is allowed to stand between ourselves and others.
No.
It's like forgiveness creates space for connection with ourselves and with something bigger.
And it clears the way for us to experience God's presence.
And I love how he ends on this note of hope, this aspiration that seems to have guided him. For him who has faith, the last miracle shall be greater than the first.
It's beautiful, right? The idea that our spiritual journey never ends and the most amazing experiences might still be ahead of us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Dag Hammarskjöld's markings, there are a few key takeaways that really stand out. This was a man who achieved incredible things in the world, but he never lost sight of the importance of his inner life.
It's inspiring, honestly.
He was brutally honest with himself about his struggles, and he stressed the importance of never giving up on your spiritual path.
And he didn't see his inner and outer worlds as separate. They were both part of the same journey.
Right. With humility and forgiveness as guiding principles, all fueled by this unshakable faith.
And what's really amazing is that even though Hammarskjöld's life was so unique, his struggles, his insights, they speak to something universal.
Totally. We all have that inner world. We all face those challenges.
His willingness to confront his imperfections, to strive for something greater than I. It's a powerful reminder that the most important journeys are often the ones we take within ourselves.
Absolutely. So as you go about your day, think about this. Where in your own life is that longest journey calling you?
Mhm.
What secret orders, as Hammarskjöld put it, are you ready to hear and obey? What does it mean for you to let your inner life take precedence over all the demands of the outer world? That's something worth pondering, isn't it? Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.